can I tell you a secret? I love Friday nights, especially when I'm working with David Mann. Hi, David.
Hello, Phil, and good evening to all the Nightliners at, well, it's nearly 8 minutes past 10 on a Friday evening. Beautiful day today.
Oh, yeah, and tomorrow, 31 degrees and sunny. It's the best summer I can recall in a long time.
I spent a little bit of time driving around today, and then I was down at the Metropolitan Golf Club, not playing golf. I'm not a golfer, but what a beautiful golf club it is. And the clubhouse, we had a board meeting down there, and a very, very, very nice place indeed. But I could see people just thinking, Friday we'll have a game of golf, and we were in the boardroom looking out, and I could see people walking around with their golf clubs, and everything is manicured, even the front lawn there, which is doesn't have a hole in it, or you can't do putt-putt on it.
You can play lawn bowls there.
Oh, it was magnificent.
Yeah.
I'm not a golfer. I enjoy watching it. Do you play golf?
No, I used to, but your brother Peter's very into golf, isn't he?
He is, yes. He actually has a tournament, the Australia Masters of the Amateurs, and Ricky Fowler won it one year, and Jason Day. Had the pleasure of interviewing Jason Day.
Does Peter ever have like a celebrity tournament where he might invite John Blackman and Wilbur Wilde and Philip Brady? And
over the years, he's had Am-Pros, Pro-Ams and Am-Ams, which are all different. So sometimes it's the amateurs playing with the professionals, or the professionals playing with the amateurs, or the amateurs versus the amateurs, but they have about 15 different countries involved. But some amazing winners. But I think it's a very good game where people get out there, fresh air, walk around 9 holes, 18 holes.
Do you know Pete Smith's father, who will be 101 shortly, he still plays golf at 101.
Really?
Yeah, Pete's father, yes. Oh, yeah.
That's good genes for Pete.
And Bob Hope played right up to the end. And
do you know who's a very, very good golfer in this state? One of the very prominent people?
Maybe Sam Newman.
Excellent golfer.
Yeah.
Somebody else in the political scene?
Oh, well, it could be Daniel Andrews.
Spot on, Phil. Spot on. Daniel Andrews is a very, very good golfer, and in fact, obviously, he's Premier of the state. But when he had a little more time, his handicap, I believe, was under 10. It's probably about 10 now. But he enjoys a game of golf.
I don't know he'd want to play golf with me, because on the eve of the election, do you know the story?
No.
And he was,
I'm waiting for it, though.
He was flat chat, you know, going from one studio to another. He was sort of on deck 24 hours a day.
Yes.
And he's a friend of mine, and I can talk to him like I talk to you.
Oh, you wouldn't call him Daniel, though. You'd call him Premier.
Well, no, he wasn't Premier then. This was the eve of the election, okay? So, and Simon Owens heard it, and a lot of people heard me say to him, but I said to him, Daniel, I said, I don't know how you keep up the pace. Are you on uppers or downers?
Oh, no.
Yes, well, that's fair enough to ask, because, you know, I thought something was giving him a bit of pep.
And what was his answer?
He just laughed, said, no, said, this is so natural. But no, he won't forget me saying that to
There
him.
wasn't anybody else around when you said it, I hope.
Simon Owens heard, and 2 or 3 other people, and they still tease me about it.
More front than Myers.
I thought that was a decent question to ask a mate.
Oh, no, I would have phrased it differently. Said, you're very active, you're sort of very buzzy, you know. How do you keep going? How do you keep the energy up?
So I think that's why he doesn't want to play golf with me, I'm sure.
Has he spoken to you since he got the big job?
I haven't, our paths haven't crossed. But I'll remind him. He'll remember. Hey, Steve's at Greenvale. Hi, Steve.
Guys, g'day, David.
Hello, Steve.
Look, I know Phil will be excited, but how excited are you at this news of the gravitational waves that being discovered?
I tell you who will love it, Steve. This will be Margaret of West Heidelberg.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll come up with great theories.
Steve, it's been a long day today. I always listen to Ross and John. Now, Ross Stevenson is one of the most intelligent people in this country, if not this world.
Oh, yeah.
So he and John had somebody on explaining it this morning, and you don't often hear Ross go, now, can you go through that again? Then, in Neil's program, he asked somebody to ring in. He said, will this affect the traffic flow or the way that we get energy? And this chap came on, was really good. They were really clever, but they started talking about this sort of sheet of things, and then they said, how did it happen? They said, it only happened last night, and it's massive news. The thing that I got out of it is Albert Einstein is a genius.
Yeah, 100 years ago he predicted it. And Steve, you and I know, we are in the know, the 2 black holes collided, and they created gravitational waves in the universe. We know that, don't we, Steve?
Well, that's one theory.
It's true.
In all seriousness, though,
Two black holes
No,
collided.
Peter Hitchin will show this tonight.
I'm not going to bore you, Dave, with what I think.
Hey, wouldn't Bruce love this story, Steve?
Phil, Bruce would be sitting in his chair reclined thinking, oh, God.
Steve, now, you're probably going to tell us that you're a nuclear physicist or something.
I think he'd rather sit through reruns of garden shows to listen to this.
Oh, how funny, yes.
So,
But, yeah, look, no,
it is a big news story, though, isn't it?
It is, because look, I know a lot of people would, couldn't be, less interested, but just generally speaking, I've always been curious, and I always will till, the day I pop off, how it all began, the Big Bang, and, basically once you figure that out, it explains where we came from and how we came to be, and that's far more fascinating to me, David, than, who gets out of celebrity, get me out of here. So,
Yeah.
I know it doesn't appeal to everybody, but, yeah, I think it's rather fascinating.
It's interesting. Sometimes I'll be somewhere, and normally it's overseas when you're not focusing on work and you're thinking about something. You look at a beautiful mountain range or a waterfall or a beautiful rose, and you think, isn't this lovely? This has all been created. It's all
it's
here.
all part of God's creation. But I wonder, Steve, is it going to affect our theories of Darwin's evolution or the creation of the world as we read in the Bible?
It could. There is that theory that we began from another planet anyway, and they found certain elements on the Earth, David, that belonged on the moon and can't be found. It can't be explained as to why and how it survived on this planet. So, we could have come from another planet and, through a microscopic bacteria or that type. Or, if you want to subscribe to, what Darwin, people who believe in, that we evolved from apes. But, you want to sort of be a little lateral in thinking. I mean, sure, if we came from apes, where did apes come from? And then you just keep going on and on and on.
As you know, Steve, Bruce is convinced I'm an alien from some foreign planet.
I'm sure Bruce has already popped off to the loo while we've been talking.
Steve, I'll only ask you one thing because Bruce likes surprises. So I think that you should do a very, very nice letter, maybe even a thesis of the two black holes colliding and send it to Bruce here so he can read it and he can have a good think about it.
I will, Dave. Thanks very much.
And Steve, as you might know already from last night, the good news is Bruce will be on here with us from Monday night, broadcasting from his home.
Oh, really? I can't wait to rehash this story again.
Yeah, so please be one of the first, and you might even, Steve, win a prize.
Oh, thank you.
Trip to the black hole.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Okay, good. Always enjoy your calls.
He's got a good sense of humour, hasn't he, Steve?
I love his calls.
And isn't Greenvale a lovely part of Melbourne? There's some beautiful homes in Greenvale.
Yeah, it's close to Tullamarine, isn't it, Broadmeadows area?
It is, and Melbourne International Airport not far away, so sometimes you track over it. But there was a big horse agistment out there, and I think one of the big police complexes is not far from there. But
yes, and when I was young, I had an uncle who succumbed to TB, and he was at the Greenvale Sanatorium. I don't know if it still exists.
Yeah, those things did exist, didn't they?
Oh, yes. There used to be a leper colony across the river in Fairfield at the Infectious Diseases Hospital, an actual leper colony.
We've come a long way, haven't we?
Yeah, but there are people who've succumbed to leprosy even today.
I know there is a gentleman, and he's do you call them the dermatologist, Phil, the people who look after your skin?
Yes.
And I believe it's... I think his name might be Professor Berger, and he still goes overseas and helps people who have diseases like leprosy because it still exists overseas.
Yes, it does, no doubt about it. And the worry now that's mosquito carrying the ugly little bug that can affect childbirth.
Yeah, one case, I think Minister Hennessy announced it today. So
I think it's called the Zika virus.
Yes, but they said not to be alarmed, but to be aware.
Yeah. Hey, we'll take a break at 16. Oh, great excitement in Melbourne tonight was the first of the 5 Edinburgh tattoos at Etihad Stadium. And boy, am I looking forward to going on Sunday afternoon. And David, someone who's already seen the first show tonight and knows all about it, Harper's Lake, is the CEO of Etihad Stadium, Paul Sargent. Good evening, Paul.
Hello.
Hello, Paul. It's David Mann and Phil Brady here. Congratulations. There's already lots of good reports coming out.
Look, it's been a fantastic show, and absolutely, the reports aren't wrong. It's spectacular.
How many involved in the show, Paul? Because we've been very proud to support the pre-promotion of it, and obviously the 5 shows and tickets selling exceptionally well. But how many will be gracing the stadium, the grassland of Etihad Stadium?
Yeah.
Look, on stage, we've got about 1,300 performers. But you've got as many, again, backstage making everything happen. But, 1,300. It looks absolutely spectacular.
And being a Brit, as you are, I can tell from your accent,
Yes.
had you seen the show previously in Scotland?
Yeah, look, the show changes every year, but I have. I've been fortunate enough to have been to the castle and seen it there. It's on, it seems to be on a smaller scale there than here. But, I've been lucky enough for that.
And Paul, how many rehearsals did they have? Because somebody phoned our rumour file saying that they were rehearsing it in the car park of the Moonee Valley Race Club, and then somebody said, there was another coach of the wonderful Pipers somewhere else in Melbourne. So did they do a lot leading up to tonight?
Yeah, look, they did. Coming together of a production this size takes some doing. So they were up at Moonee Valley at the beginning of the week. They transferred down here around about Tuesday, Wednesday, and have been rehearsing here since then, almost morning, noon, and night. So a lot of rehearsal time has gone into making the show happen.
And I understand, too, Paul, it has quite an Australian flavour.
It's got a huge Australian flavour, and that's been very, very important to the tattoo and the organisers. They wanted to make sure it had that magical Australian touch, and they haven't missed it, that's for sure.
And Paul, one of our wonderful journalists here, Donna Demaio, who is our arts reporter, she never misses a trick when there is something theatrical in Melbourne. And you can always tell by Donna's voice, or tonight, we're lucky enough, she's just popped into the studio with a big smile, and she's giving many thumbs up. So, Donna Demaio, I think Donna has come directly from Etihad Stadium, Phil.
Donna, say hello to Paul Sargent.
Hi, Paul. Nice to speak with you. And yes, I'm a little bit out of breath because I've realised I'm not as fit as I thought I was. But I have just come across from Etihad Stadium, which was a virtual sellout, understandably. The first time the tattoo has ever been in Melbourne. And I can tell you now, the atmosphere was electric. And I hadn't watched it much in the past, just caught tiny little snippets. But I can tell you now, it was mesmerising. From the first note, I just thought, this is a phenomenon. This is just so mesmerising and so inspiring, and the actual precision and the musicianship and it was just incredible. It was really incredible.
And Donna, I think obviously of bagpipes. As soon as you talk about the tattoo, you think of bagpipes, but there's drummers and, as you said, marching precision, there's cannons firing.
Well, there's so much more than just, you think, is it just marching bands? I mean, really, no. There is a lot more to it. And there are so many international bands. I know that there were the Republic of Fiji Military Forces Band was there, His Majesty the King's Guard from Norway, there's the Royal Corps of Musicians from Tonga, and the Shetland Fiddlers, one of my favourites. Oh, weren't they just beautiful? And then my ultimate favourite, this is a highlight, the Top Secret Drum Corps from Switzerland. Not only do they have a phenomenal name, like how wonderful, the Top Secret Drum Corps.
And
they were spectacular.
And there were Maoris there as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, there was and that Australian flavour. Look, I did love the fact that there was some contemporary pop songs incorporated, which were a little bit unexpected. I won't give away too much because it's kind of fun to hear them, start up and you go, oh, I know that song. That was on the charts just recently.
And Paul, you mentioned backstage, and obviously you've created an entire set there. So logistically, it must have taken a long time to build the set because it's like a castle, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it is a castle. It's a wonderful replica of Edinburgh Castle. Every piece is numbered, so it's all got its place.
Yeah.
And it started. Actually, we had a game last Saturday. We started the bumping immediately after that game. So last Saturday night to get ready.
And let me ask you this, Paul Sargent, CEO at Etihad Stadium. And boy, I've seen some wonderful performances there with Mariah Carey and Barbara Streisand, 2 examples. But are there any seats left for Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, now you touch on a good point. We've got a few seats for the matinee on Sunday. Sunday evening sold out. All shows are sold out. Both shows are sold out on Saturday. But we do have a few tickets left for the matinee on Sunday. It's 1 o'clock. The show's on. It's wonderful. It's about 2 hours, 2.25 hours. So you've heard the reports. Now just come along and see it.
And Paul, it'd be nice because people could, before they go there, along the esplanade there opposite AFL House is Chinese New Year and a massive, the lunar market there, so lots of food, lots of wining and dining options. So perhaps if you're going to any of the shows over the next couple of days, pop in, have and celebrate Chinese New Year, walk across the road into Etihad Stadium, right in the seats, and you're up very close to the action.
Absolutely. Look, Docklands is a wonderful area, and there's so much going on. So if you're going to come along to the show on Saturday or Sunday, you make a day of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on, Chinese New Year, and you come along to the show, go down to the waterfront either before or after, and you can really have a great day.
I will just say I did bump into quite a number of tourists. It's actually, the tattoo has brought in so many people from interstate. I spoke to a lovely couple. They came from South Australia, and I asked them what they thought of it, and of course they said, oh, it was so worth it. Lots of coach tours. So can you imagine what that's meaning to the local economy? All these tourists flooding in, and of course the locals are, you know, lapping it up as well. So yeah, virtually sold out, but what a thrill. And that fireworks finale, I tell you what, it was wonderful.
I don't know if we'll get the fireworks in the afternoon, but we're waiting to see.
Oh no, it's a closed roof. So
the roof's closed, and fireworks will be happening, yes, absolutely.
And, you know, Peter Hitchener had a preview during the week. What brought a lump to my throat was when they were performing I Still Call Australia Home. It's just going to be so emotional, Paul.
Paul, you've been there for some time now as the CEO of Etihad Stadium, a great complex. This obviously has thrilled you, but give us a couple of the other events that really have made your time as CEO. And, you know, people go, oh, the darts, was that good? And you sounded very happy about the darts competition.
Yeah, we're still talking about the darts, eh?
Oh, yes.
What are a couple of the others, besides, obviously, we know the footy's always great?
Yeah, but look, we've had a big year. We had Speedway only a couple of months ago. Now that was something else. 27,000 people came from all over the country. 60% of those 27,000 travelled from interstate. That's huge.
Right.
Then you've got to turn to, you know, the concerts. UFC, not everybody's cup of tea.
Sure.
That was fantastic. That's been huge. The concerts that we've had. So it's
AC/DC.
it really highlights what the stadium's about.
I was at AC/DC just a little while ago.
Yes.
That was wonderful and loud, as it should be.
Now, Paul, this is what you're waiting for. This is the Donna Demaio Richter scale out of 10. Now, Donna has just come back from G'day LA, so she's been with all the stars. She's seen AC/DC. She's interviewed everybody.
Yeah, but be warned, Paul, when she came back from the MCG after the three tenors, she gave Luciano Pavarotti 4.5 stars.
Yes, that was a disappointment, unfortunately. Yes. There were some sound issues. There were no sound issues this evening for the Royal Tattoo.
Out of 10, Donna?
Off the charts. It literally it's way past 10. It was just perfection. It was so wonderful. It's a great experience.
Well, there you are. There's an endorsement. And will you give my best to my buddy Bill Lane at Etihad Stadium, who is deserving of a bonus, I think, or maybe a pay rise. Paul?
Don't say that too loud, gentlemen. He'll be listening.
Okay, great talking to you, Paul Sargent.
Yeah, terrific.
All the best, Paul, and well done for what you do there with Etihad Stadium, bringing a lot of entertainment, whether it be the sporting, the cultural, the community. You really look after Melburnians, and as Donna said, people from interstate and overseas.
I'll be
really kind of you. Hey, have a great weekend.
I'll be looking for you Sunday afternoon, Paul.
I'll be here.
I'll be the one in the tartan kilt. Okay, but now Donna, you want to sum up and just encourage everyone who can go on Sunday to be there?
Well, I will. You mentioned the castle, and I've just got a few statistics because I think it's really fun to know that it is a full-size replica of Edinburgh Castle, and it took 22 staff 10,500 hours.
Wow.
Over several months to actually build. So it does come in bits, but then to put it all together and to make sure that it stays...
all numbered, he said. Paul said all numbered.
Absolutely. And it's so big that it goes right across the stadium, and it's only just 1 metre from the rooftop. That gives you a sense of scale. And it's so big that it goes right across the stadium, and it's only just 1 metre from the rooftop, from behind the castle and so forth.
And of course,
Absolutely
if it's raining, the roof's closed, so we've got nothing to lose.
It was funny talking to the brigadier in charge, David Palfrey, because I did go to the dress rehearsal as well, and he was just saying, yes, it's about 23 degrees warmer than usually is when we perform in Scotland. So he was loving our balmy weather. It was great.
Question I want to ask you: why weren't you at the G'day Australia function in Los Angeles last week?
Oh,
or last month for Australia Day?
I wasn't there for Australia Day, but I did get to go to the actual gala, which celebrated and honoured George Miller, that wonderful director that we adore.
Why didn't you phone into Nightline?
Well, the timing was all out of whack. I'm so sorry, Phil, but it was very early in the morning.
I knew Donna was there.
It's so unusual for you not to talk to Bruce and Phil.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
That
You
was
made up
remiss
for
of
it
me.
tonight.
I actually physically came into the studio because I wanted to see you guys, and I know you're doing a fantastic job, so I won't sort of prattle on too much longer. But I just wanted to say the tattoo was just a phenomenal experience, and it is a once in a lifetime, because I mean it's only the 4th time they've ever actually travelled outside of Scotland.
And yet, years and years and years ago, I saw a military tattoo at the MCG, but obviously now it wasn't from Edinburgh.
Yes,
this is the first time.
This is the one. No disrespect to all the others, of course, because I'm sure they're all fine, but this is the one you want to see.
By the way, I hear a Chinese whisper that George Miller was so enchanted by you, you might be in the next Mad Max movie.
I wish.
Thanks, Donna.
Good night, guys.
Thanks, Donna. Great to see you.
It's 10:30. We'll talk shortly to Chris, Ruth, Margaret, Katie, and take your call.
Hello, Phil and Dave. How are you?
Very well, thanks, Chris. On a Friday evening, how are you?
Pretty good. Looking forward to the big day of racing at Caulfield tomorrow.
Big card, is it?
Yes, 9 races, and I've outlaid $100 on bets tomorrow, so it's one of the bigger days. But
what do you do? Quinellas or trifectas or first fours?
Just each way. I've gone a bit strong on the C4 Stakes to Group 1 tomorrow, and I put $10 each way on Rebel Dane, because that's a very fast horse. That's about the 4th fastest horse in the country, and it's quite a deal. It's $16 against some horses who are only up-and-coming runners. So I'm really looking forward to that. And my Sydney Cup Hope, which I've already put $10 each way on the Sydney Cup for April the 9th, who shot the barn, makes it come back tomorrow. It's $71 for the win tomorrow, but it's not expected to do. Only going to stretch it out and get the miles in its legs leading up to the big 2,800, 2,900, or even if it's 3,200 Sydney Cup, and but it's only over 1,400 tomorrow. But it's run against the champion Winks, which won the Cox Plate by 8 lengths.
Now, Chris, I hope you've budgeted this week, because last Friday when you phoned Phil and the Nightline program, you'd overstretched the budget and you were running a little short. So I hope you've sort of put that into perspective of what you're doing there. And you've got
last Friday I won $315. I've bought $100 worth of food this week, and I'll just quickly tell you, Tuesday I got $10 off my shopping with my Woolworths Rewards, and with the shopping ball for me and my neighbour this week, about $200. I've got another $10 off my next shop at Woolworths, and I'm going up there tomorrow to get some sponges for sponge mop heads for my neighbour. And he's going to give me a little gift. I said, no, I don't want a gift. I'll just do it for nothing, because I'm financially fit. I've had a big 2 weeks of wins and all that. Yeah. And it's just unfortunate I can't give out my tips on Australia overnight on the weekends no more, because one of my previous friends started making difficult calls about me gambling, and Alan Pearsall thought that was really what was happening, but it's not the case.
Okay, well, we don't want to get involved with that, because you're always welcome on our show. But my advice is go easy on the gambling, because, Chris, gamblers only tell us about their wins. They never tell us about their losses.
And my advice, Chris, is when you're in Woolworths, I frequent Woolworths occasionally, they have lovely sushi. Freshly made sushi. They have a sushi bar in some of the I don't know whether it's in all of them, but certainly one that I know. You go there and buy beautiful sushi. So with your winnings, Chris, get some sushi. It's good for you.
Okay, mate. Have a good weekend. Where are we going now, David?
Let's say hello to Ruth in South Melbourne. Hi, Ruth.
Hello.
Yes, Ruth.
Hi, Ruth.
Hi, boys. How are you? I just wanted to say about Greenvale, Phil. I think it is still there, but I think it's now the Greenvale Geriatric Hospital.
It well could be, yes.
And in what was Mickleham Road, it's all suburb now, but it used to be beautiful countryside, there was the police stud.
Ah, that's what it was.
And the kennels, the police kennels.
Thank you, Ruth. I knew there was a police complex out there, and for some reason I had the name Attard going through my head. I don't know what that relates to, but what was the name of it?
Ruth?
Ruth? Oh, Ruth has dropped out.
Oh, maybe her battery's gone dead.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. There was something out there. Well, it probably still is.
Well, that was 60 years ago, the sanatorium. It's a good excuse now. The phone went dead, so let's take a break.
11 3AW693, Nightline, Philip Brady, David Mann, and we were talking about Donna going to events. Well, I did a Donna Demaio last night. I popped into our friends at Sofitel, the Sofitel Melbourne on Collins, up the top of Collins Street, the other end to where we are, and they had an exhibition of photographs featuring featuring the great artists of our time from the archives, Phil, of the Paris Match magazine.
Oh, yes.
Now, this is a magnificent display in Sophie's, which is just off the main foyer, but it's titled Sofitel Revealed. There are 30 works that was selected from the Paris Match archives by Olivier Widmeyer Picasso.
Oh.
And this is the grandson of Pablo Picasso.
He'd be around today. He lives, I imagine.
So he selected these photographs, and they are photographs of amazing artists doing things.
Oh.
But Clive Scott, the general manager, emceed his own event, and there were lots of dignitaries there, and Fiona Byrne, our friend.
Were you comparing the function?
No, I was a guest.
All right.
I was a guest, and Fiona Byrne and Terence Murphy and David Bain, all the Sofitel team. But he dropped a bombshell. 300 people, beautiful cocktail party, viewing these 30 pieces that are all beautifully framed. They're photographs, and then next to it is the story.
Are they for sale?
That's what everybody was thinking. Can you purchase them? Will they be auctioned? And Clive said, and the place just went silent, he said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy this collection. It's on display for some time at Sofitel in the Sophies. And he said, but at the end, they will be videotaping me as I cut up every single photograph.
Why?
And the place just went silent. And that's part of the contract, that these are not to get out of anyone's hands and be reprinted or, you know, more copies of them. They've been released and they're cut up so they show that once it's finished, it's finished.
So they're not the originals then, they're copies?
No, correct.
Oh.
And it was amazing, and you're going, wow, this is what they've done. So if you want to see some very, it's entertaining.
Wouldn't you have been allowed to take a selfie last night beside one of the pictures? Yeah, I'm sure people were taking photos.
There was a film crew in there.
Yeah.
There was a film crew in there. But
so you could reproduce them yourself, just blow them up and frame them.
Oh, Phil. We're meant to get to that. But well done to Clive Scott. The Arts Hotel, and obviously when he says, he goes, bonjour, because Sofitel is a French accor, and they always have a French connection. But
I know.
I think it was the Deputy Director of the National Gallery of Victoria, a lady, stood up, and she gave the best word picture of how they've come about. So
lovely.
Terrific.
And be careful, a word of warning, when you use the men's room on the 35th floor, because of all the glass there, be aware that people can look in from the MCG at you.
Oh, no. No, they've got little dividers now. They've actually refurbished all that. The 35th floor is beautiful, and they've now got all little dividers.
Oh, that's right. I was always a bit coy when I was there.
Margaret is on the line, Phil, from West Heidelberg.
Hello, Margaret.
Hello, Philip and David.
Hi, Margaret.
My best wishes to Bruce Mansfield.
Right.
I hope he's feeling better.
Yeah, just don't breathe into the phone so heavily. It's hard to hear you, Margaret. Just be a little softer. Thank you.
You want me to speak softer?
Yes, please. Yes, a little. Yeah.
I've got a bit of a croaky voice.
Go ahead.
Yes. The gravitational wave is marvellous.
What does it mean, Margaret? I've had about 3 different versions today of what the gravitational wave is. How do you sum it up?
Well, it's to do with the acceleration from 2 black holes colliding at 1.3 billion years ago. Light years, I would take it as that. And the gravitational waves are as big as a million of a millionth of a hair.
And how do you know all this, Margaret?
I got it on ABC 24 digital TV.
Oh, okay.
They've been having it on all this afternoon and evening with all the scientists talking about it. And I add that my discovery of the shadow of gravity is a photon of light, dark matter, dark energy, the origin of light, and it's the start of a black hole. And dark matter, dark energy is the start of the universe.
Oh. Well, gee, thank you so much for explaining that in layman's terms to us.
Margaret always has a theory, and obviously she's a very learned lady, and she listens and reads. So thanks, Margaret.
I hope Neil Mitchell heard that, because he couldn't make any sense of it this morning.
And Ross Stevenson, he will be thrilled with that. I'm sure Ross is listening right now.
I took it in, Margaret, but now I've got a throbbing headache.
Herald Sun headlines for Harvey Norman. Shop with confidence online, mobile and in-store.
Always enjoy the Saturday Herald Sun. Good evening, Michelle Ainsworth.
Hello.
I'm trying to guess what might be on page one. Is it about the gravitational waves from the black holes in space?
No, we do not have the space. But we have sacked Minister Stuart Roberts on the front page after losing his role after his controversial trip to China. So it's been a week of scandals for him, and it's sort of culminated in the end of his job.
And you've covered it very well too, Michelle, because there's been a lot of movement in federal government with ministers retiring and stepping down, and now another minister gone. Yes,
a very big week and a big sort of a big change for the government. Obviously, moving into an election later this year, a lot of movement in the top ranks. We also have an exclusive story about some issues at the footy show. As we come up to footy season coming up in the next couple of months, there's been a breakdown in the friendship between Gary Lyon and Bill Brownless. And, there's some issues there, and there's some questions over who will be returning to the footy show, whether both of them, one of them, who knows? Because things are not going well in that friendship.
That's disappointing, because they're both great talents and both have had great careers as footballers. So I'm sorry to hear that.
I hope that can be resolved. And it's been a terrible week, hasn't it? The grisly murders and drownings and people dying on the road. Michelle?
Yes. So, it's sort of been a little bit of a bad news week, but, something a little different, although for a lot of people this will still be bad news, but obviously not as bad as murders and things. But police have threatened to stop A-League soccer matches in Melbourne if their spectators continue to light flares at games.
And so they should. I think they need to take a stand, yes.
Yeah, so I think they've been put on notice there, and then I think finally maybe we'll celebrate one nice happy thing that Carlton Baths has celebrated its centenary this week. So isn't that at least a nice end to the week?
And Michelle, the next time I see flares, I don't want to see any flares until your 50th birthday.
And Michelle, I'll give you the challenge. We started it last Friday. I'm still waiting to see in the international forecasts Dempasar.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I will find out what's going on.
It's not up to Michelle. It's up to the Weather Bureau. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Michelle.
Good reading in tomorrow's Herald Sun. Now on Sunday night at 8, 4-hour show Sunday night, you get twice as much fun.
Who will be a special guest, Phil?
Well, being Valentine's Day, we'll talk romantic movies with Paul Harris, and then with Kevin Trask, and later into the night, it's the anniversary of decimal currency 50 years ago, on the 14th of February, 1966.
Can you remember the jingle?
Of course, you'll hear it Sunday night.
Hello again. This is John Doremus with a passing parade of the story of a legendary footballer. His name was Patrick O'Day. He was described as the greatest of all American athletes, a gridiron player without equal. Yet he was not an American. He was, in fact, an Australian. And I'll be back with his story after this message.
We all agree, a Larry Butter's smoothest. We all agree, a Larry Butter's creamiest. We all agree, in perfect harmony. We know it's best by any test, the Larry Butter's best.
Patrick John O'Day was born at Kilmore, Victoria on March 17, 1876. When his family moved to Melbourne, he was sent to Xavier College, where he soon won a place in the school's senior Australian rules team. He later played for Melbourne Club. In 1895, his elder brother Andy, who was studying at the University of Wisconsin, returned home to visit his family. His accounts of America and its strange game of football fascinated young Pat, who followed him back to the United States to complete his education. Enrolling at Wisconsin University, Pat was quickly included in the gridiron team as quarterback. In the late 1890s, the kicking kangaroo, as he was labeled by gridiron fans, electrified football enthusiasts of the Middle West. More than 6 feet tall and weighing just over 12 stone. He would carry the ball as far as possible, then punt or drop kick in full stride when about to be tackled. Although a fundamental move in Australian rules, it was a revelation to American spectators. He broke almost every record in the book and took Wisconsin to the top of the gridiron tree. After graduating with a law degree, Pat O'Day decided to stay in America with his brother. For a time, he coached football at the University of Notre Dame, Indiana. Then he moved to California, where he coached football, rowing, and athletic teams at Stanford University. Demands for his services as a football coach began interfering with his attempts to set up a law practice in San Francisco. In 1917, the national football star disappeared without explanation. Reports came from all over the country from people claiming they had seen him. Most were unfounded, and it was generally accepted that Pat O'Day had linked up with elements of the Australian military forces when they had passed through San Francisco on their way to Europe. For 15 years, nothing was heard of Pat O'Day. Then in 1934, Bill Leisler, sports editor of the San Francisco Chronicle, received an anonymous tip to investigate one Charles J. Mitchell, a lumber company worker who lived in Westwood, an isolated California timber town about 150 miles northwest of San Francisco. Mitchell proved to be the missing football hero, Pat O'Day, who was finally persuaded to come out of his self-imposed exile and resume life as a celebrity. It just seemed a good idea to go away and leave the old life behind, O'Day told the astonished Leisler. Probably it was wrong to disappear, but I wanted to get away from the mere student days of the past. As Pat O'Day, I seemed just an ex-Wisconsin football player, and I decided to make a new life for myself under a new name. At first, many refused to believe reports that O'Day had reappeared. Even his brother Andy was skeptical. But Pat O'Day settled all arguments by attending a triumphal homecoming celebration arranged for him by the University of Wisconsin on the campus. After that, he settled in San Francisco, where he lived till his death in April of 1962. Our time is up till we meet again for another chapter in the Passing Parade. This is John Doremus, and goodbye for now.
The latest news.